It's a beautiful day on Hope Channel, Zambia, media that changes lives. Thank you so much for joining us on our news bulletin. My name is Mwene Mianga, and here are stories making headlines. Vice President safe after helicopter incident in Nakonde. Digital government platforms surpass 8.8 billion kwacha in revenue collection. Defense Ministry hands over 190 houses to Zambia Army. And CTPD calls for national agency to maximize Lobito corridor benefits. Police probe handling of domestic violence report. Much more stories are coming up shortly. Don't go away.
Hello, my name is Daddy Chitaru, Production Manager for Hope Channel Zambia. In line with the reach 1 billion people with the gospel by 2030, Hope Channel Zambia is looking for compassionate individuals who can donate in kindness or financially to the number and bank details displayed on the screen. Your contribution will help many be reached with Hope Channel's life-changing content. Together, we can reach out to this 1 billion people targeted to be reached to before or by 2030.
Let's get the details. Government has confirmed that Vice President Dr. W.K. Mutalena Lumango is safe following a helicopter incident during takeoff in Nakonde District, Muchinga Province. In a statement, Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa says the Zambia Air Force helicopter carrying the Vice President was involved in an accident while taking off during her official visit to the area. Mr. Kangwa says together with all passengers and crew members escaped unharmed. He says as precautionary measure, Dr. Nalumango was taken to a nearby medical facility for routine medical and checks and has since been discharged and is in good health. Government has commended the flight crew, emergency responders and members of the public in Nakonde for their swift response to the incident. Meanwhile, the relevant authorities have commenced investigations to establish the circumstances surrounding the accident. The Vice President is expected to continue with her official program. Government says it is increasingly financing the national budget using locally generated revenue while making significant progress in reducing the country's debt burden. Information and Media Director and Government Spokesperson Henry Kapata says the latest Treasury report shows that about 80% of the 2026 national budget is now being financed through domestic revenue. Mr. Kapata says government disbursed 49.1 billion kwacha in June to fund public services, support vulnerable households, implement development programs and debt obligations. He says 34.9 billion kwacha of the total amount was used to service debt and clear domestic arrears accumulated over the years. Mr. Kapata adds that government has also successfully bought back part of Zambia's Eurobond at a discount, a move expected to save the country about 270 million United States dollars. He says the savings will be redirected towards expanding electricity infrastructure, while continued fiscal reforms and strengthening Zambia's economic resilience.
Zambia's debt is no longer bigger than the size of its economy. Zambia has reached a point where its debt is no longer bigger than the size of its economy. The country's debt to GDP ratio now stands at around 77%. This simply means that for every 100 kwacha the economy produces in a year, the total public debt is equivalent to about 77 kwacha. It is a manageable level. When the ratio was about 114%, it meant the debt was larger than everything the economy was producing in a year. That situation limited what government could do because a bigger share of resources had to go towards managing debt instead of building roads, schools, hospitals, or paying salaries on time. A lower debt to GDP ratio gives the country more breathing space to invest in development while still meeting its obligations. The debt to GDP ratio rose above 100% and became bigger than the size of the economy around 2019 to 2020. This was the period when the economy was deteriorating, growth had slowed, and the country was accumulating debt without a clear plan for repayment. By late 2020, Zambia had defaulted on a Eurobond coupon, becoming the first African sovereign to do so during the COVID-19 period. Reserves were low, the kwacha was under severe pressure, and investor confidence had collapsed. After restructuring and consistent reforms, the ratio has come down to around 77%. This improvement shows that the economy is now growing in strength relative to its debt. The June 2026 Treasury release shows this commitment in clear numbers. That represents a net increase of roughly $2 billion United States dollars over 4 years.
Government says its digital payment and service delivery platforms have collected more than 8.8 billion kwacha while improving access to public services, strengthening accountability and enhancing public financial management. Speaking at the 2026 Zambia International Trade Fair on behalf of the Accountant General, Ministry of Finance and National Planning Principal Accountant Daniel Mwewa says platforms such as the Government Service Bus, Government Electronic Payment Gateway, ZamPortal and ZamPay have become central to government's digital transformation agenda. Mr. Mwewa says more than 400 government services, including passport applications, ground rent payments, and road tax transactions, are now accessible online through the digital platforms. He says government has also extended the digital payment ecosystems to local authorities, with 8 councils already onboarded, collecting more than 21.7 million kwacha within the first month of implementation, while Ministry of Labor and Social Security Permanent Secretary Zakaria Luhanga says digital transformation is improving productivity, reducing administrative costs, and enhancing service delivery across public institutions. Mr. Luhanga says the ministry has so far onboarded 32 services on the government service bus, enabling citizens to access services remotely while supporting government's broader digital transformation agenda. The Ministry of Defense has handed over 190 newly constructed housing units to the Zambia Army at the Kenneth David Kaunda Barracks, commonly known as Mikango Barracks in Chongwe District. Speaking during the handover ceremony, Ministry of Defense Permanent Secretary Mambo Hamaundu says the project is aimed at reducing the housing deficit for military personnel and improving their welfare. Mr. Hamaundu says the housing units comprise 10 high-cost, 62 medium-cost, and 118 low-cost houses, which have been constructed by Zongmei Engineering Group. He has further disclosed that more than 600 housing units are nearing completion at Buffalo Park Barracks in Lusaka. Mr. Hamaundu says government remains committed to providing modern accommodation for men and women in uniform as part of the efforts to improve their living standards and enhance morale. And Zambia Army Commander Lieutenant General Geoffrey Ziele, in a speech read on his behalf by Brigadier General Maybin Muyanga, says decent housing is key to improving the welfare and operational readiness on military personnel. Meanwhile, Zongmei Engineering Group has pledged continued maintenance support for the housing units following their official handover.
We as a ministry were very happy that 190 units of houses are now ready for occupation, houses which should be occupied by army officers, which should also be occupied by non-commissioned officers. For us, this is the progress which we want, notwithstanding the fact that there could still be some external work study to be carried out at Mikango, but we're happy that the houses are ready for occupation. Secondly, it's also important to note that other than 190 at Mikango, we still have over 600 units which are under construction. The basic infrastructure or the houses have more or less been complete, save for electricity and water and of course the sewer lines, and we are working extremely hard to ensure that this particular aspect is also dealt with, so that sooner rather than later the houses will be occupied. And when I'm talking of the 600 housing units, they're actually in Lusaka's Chalala area. And what is interesting is that the sewer line that we're constructing will also be available to surrounding communities, in that most of the houses around that area use septic tanks and soakaways, and posing a danger to underground water. So we are happy that as a ministry we contribute towards alleviating that particular challenge.
Our Army Command has prioritized the vision of modernizing the Zambia Army. This, among other things, includes improving the living standards and welfare of personnel and their families. This, therefore, is in line with what we are witnessing here today, the provision of decent housing units to troops. Therefore, on behalf of the Army Commander, all officers, troops and families of the Zambia Army, and indeed on my own behalf, I would like to thank the government for considering Kenneth David Kaunda Barracks with these 190 housing units, and as well as improving our standards of living and our welfare in many of these cantonments. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the contractor for a job well done. A lot have been said, you've put up very nice pieces, and therefore our role is to ensure that we protect these, and that even 10 years from now, we'll continue to look new.
This project is also a valuable lesson to our company. We learn better way to manage a tight schedule and to solve the technical issues. We build strong trust with the client and the supervision consultant. This a good partnership means a lot to us. Even now, the main construction is finished. Our work is not finished. We promise after the completion of the work, during the defect liability period, we're going to repair all the needed fixes of the defects. We really all hope we can keep this good cooperation in the future. We look forward to take part in more local construction projects together to build more safe and useful building to this area.
Government has handed over a newly constructed 1x3 classroom block and 75 desks to Shimawala Primary School in Kafiwe District under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Kafiwe District Commissioner Maurice Hika-Pulwe says the project reflects government's continued commitment to improving access to quality education and providing a conducive learning environment for learners. Mr. Hika-Pulwe says the additional classroom block will help ease classroom congestion, improve teaching and learning, and enhance education service delivery at the school. He says the project further demonstrates government's commitment to delivering community-driven development through the Constituency Development Fund.
In addition to this classroom block, government has provided 75 desks, ensuring that our learners have a conducive and dignified learning environment. This investment will largely reduce classroom congestion, improve teaching and learning conditions, and enhance learner participation and academic performance. This achievement reflects the effective implementation of the CDF, which has become one of the most impactful instruments for delivering development direct to our communities. Through the enhanced CDF, communities are now witnessing tangible improvements in education, in health, in water supply, in road infrastructure, and other essential public services.
Well, just now we take a short set of commercials. We'll be right back with more stories on the other side.
Did you know that you've got the right to complain against any radio or television broadcast? Did you also know that every radio or television station has an obligation to respond and address your complaints when aggrieved? The first step is to complain to the station not more than 3 months after the broadcast took place. It is expected that the station will respond reasonably to you, that is within 14 days. If not satisfied, then escalate your problem to the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
We're at Mass Media Complex, Ali King Carter Road,
PO Box 32475, Lusaka, or call us on +260 211 250589 or visit our website at www.iba.org.zm.
IBA, promoting ethical and professional broadcasting.
Tatiola. Great and amazing deals on Topstar. Enjoy reduced prices on both decoder and subscription packages from the 1st of June to the 31st of July. Pay for 1 month on Antenna Nova, Basic or Dish Nova, Smart Bouquet, and get an instant upgrade to the next higher bouquet. Also pay for an Antenna Classic or Dish Super Bouquet and get 5 extra viewing days. There is more. From the 22nd of June, buy a full set antenna decoder at a reduced price of 349 kwacha or decoder only at 199 kwacha, and dish full set at 499 kwacha or decoder only at 299 kwacha. Follow stories of love and betrayal in the best drama series showing daily on Novella E+, and also watch action-packed movies on TNT plus many more. So don't be left out. Subscribe or grab yourself a Topstar decoder now and enjoy amazing deals. Topstar. Enjoy digital life.
Hello, my name is Daddy Chitalu, Production Manager.
Thank you for still staying with us. We continue with the rest of the news. Experts say Zambia's local content policy has the potential to transform the country's economy by providing value addition, creating jobs, and policy strengthening local industries. Policy analyst Kelvin Chisanga says the framework should be viewed as a long-term national development strategy rather than merely a procurement requirement. Mr. Chisanga says the policy seeks to ensure that investments in sectors such as mining, energy, agriculture, and infrastructure generate meaningful benefits for Zambians through increased participation of local businesses in supply chains. He says the policy also promotes technology transfer, skills development, and value addition, which are critical to building a competitive domestic economy. Mr. Chisanga has, however, noted that successful implementation will require complementary measures such as improved access to finance, quality infrastructure, skills development, and a transparent regulatory framework. He says when policy effectively implemented, the local content policy can drive economic diversification, increase productivity, and create sustainable employment opportunities.
So local content policy is not just giving contracts to local companies, but it's a strategic plan for transforming Zambia's economy by ensuring that investment creates jobs, build local industries, and return more wealth within the country. When local businesses participate in key sectors such as the mining, energy, as well as agriculture, they gain experience, of course, and create employment as well as trying to contribute to economic development or diversification. This strengthens the private sector, reduces the dependence on imports, and promotes value retention or value addition. However, local content won't only be able to be successful if it's backed by access to finance, skills development, quality infrastructure, and transparent implementation. So the goal is to build competitive Zambian businesses that should be able to participate in both the regional and global value chain. If implemented efficiently, local content can become such a powerful driver of industrialization, inclusive growth, as well as also triggering long-term structural economic transformation.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, has called on government to establish a national corridor development agency to coordinate the implementation of the Lobito corridor and maximize its economic benefits. In a statement, CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo says the proposed agency would strengthen coordination among government institutions and the private sector and local communities. Mr. Mwaipopo says the Lobito corridor should not only serve as a transport route, but also as a catalyst for economic transformation by promoting industrialization, creating jobs, and improving livelihood. He says the corridor presents an opportunity to enhance Zambia's trade competitiveness by reducing transport costs, attracting investment, and expanding access to regional and international markets. Mr. Mwaipopo notes that government's targets of producing 3 million metric tons of copper and 10 million metric tons of maize by 2031 will require efficient transport infrastructure to connect producers to the market. He has further urged government to draw lessons from successful regional corridor projects, saying effective governance and stakeholder coordination will be critical to unlocking the full potential of the Lobito corridor.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development calls for strength and coordination of key ministries around the implementation of the Lobito corridor. This is very important, especially when you look at some of the key ministries that will play a strategic role in the process of facilitating for the Lobito project. Key among these ministries includes the Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, the Green Economy, as well as the Ministry of Local Government. Coordination of these ministries will be very essential if we are to ensure the success of the Lobito project. And in this case, we are also calling for a clear think-through with regards to alternative opportunities that the country can pursue within the conversations around setting up of the Lobito corridor. And some of those opportunities should be situated within the agriculture sector, within the services sector, so that ultimately the country can stand a good opportunity to reap a number of benefits related to jobs, as well as contribution to the overall development and progress of our country.
The Zambia Police Service has instituted investigations into the handling of a domestic violence complaint that preceded the murder and suspected suicide incident in Lusaka's Makeni Villa area. In a statement, Zambia Police Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilavi says the incident follows public concern over the incident which occurred, says the inquiry follows public concern over the incident which occurred on July 8. Mr. Chilavi says investigations will establish whether officers involved complied with Zambia Police Service procedures, professional standards and law, particularly in handling GBV cases. He says appropriate disciplinary and legal action will be taken should investigations establish negligence, misconduct, or failure to follow established procedures. Mr. Chilavi has assured the public that the investigation will be conducted professionally and impartially, with the findings to be made public once the process is concluded. The Zambia Police Service has further conveyed its condolences to the bereaved families and reaffirmed its commitment to professionalism, transparency and accountability.
The Zambia Police Service has noted public concern regarding the handling of the domestic violence complaint that preceded the tragic murder and suspected suicide incident in Makeni Villa, Lusaka on July 8, 2026. The Zambia Police Service has with immediate effect instituted investigations into the conduct of the officers who handled the matter. The investigations will review the officers' compliance with established Zambia Police Service procedures, professional standards, and applicable laws in the execution of their duties, particularly in relation to the handling of gender-based violence cases. Should the investigations reveal any negligence, misconduct, or failure to comply with the established procedures or the law, appropriate action will be taken in accordance with Zambia Police Service regulations and other applicable legislation. The Zambia Police Service assures the public that the investigations will be conducted impartially and professionally. The findings will be made public upon conclusion of the investigations. We extend our sincere condolences to the bereaved families during this difficult period and convey our deepest sympathies following this tragic incident. The service remains committed to professionalism, transparency, and accountability.
Ends our bulletin on that note. Here are stories that made headlines. Vice President safe after helicopter incident in Nakonde. Digital government platforms surpass 8.8 billion kwacha in revenue collection. Defense Ministry hands over 190 houses to Zambia Army. And CTPD calls for national agency to maximize Lobito corridor benefits. Police probe handling of domestic violence report. On behalf of the entire production team and crew, my name is Mwene Mianga. Thank you so much for joining our news bulletin. Remember to follow Hope Channel on all our social media platforms, tagged Hope Channel Zambia, and share. Keep watching Hope Channel Zambia because hope starts here. Bye for now.